Hello, everyone, and welcome to our session today on corporate business analytics and faster financial reporting with JET. And joining us today is Aaron Strawn. And before we get on this hot topic today, I'd like to let you know that we will be recording this session and it will be available in our on-demand webinar library for you to review and share with anyone. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to type those into the questions box and we will get them answered during our Q&A time at the end of our session. And so now I'm going to pass it on to Aaron to kick off our presentation.
All right, thank you, Angie, and thank you everyone for joining today. Hope you're all doing well. Let's just dive right in. We're going to talk about analytics. We're going to talk about what this can do to help improve your reporting, your utilization, your data. You know, we're in a time where everyone's technology stacks are growing. It's no longer, for most organizations, just your ERP that you're focused on. People have data in you know, CRM. They have ways they manage their customers, their payroll, all kinds of different systems. And so we're going to look at what we can do to help better utilize that data and kind of unify it and bring it together so it's easier for your users to be able to get the insights they need to drive better outcomes for their business. And so we'll jump in, we'll go through some examples, but I want to talk about, you know, first, the difference between reporting and analytics, what database, data warehouses, and cubes are, and then we'll dive in to see exactly what you can do with these BI tools. In particular, we focus on Jet Analytics, which has custom projects designed specific for the Dynamics Suite. And then finally, we'll finish with just a look at how Jet can be used with data visualization tools such as PowerBI. And so, just kind of a quick introduction as to who we are. We're the leading reporting and business intelligence solutions provider for the Dynamics Suite. We've been in this space since 2002, working closely with Microsoft on developing custom projects, customizations for their different ERPs. And so this is a space we know really well and we've spent a lot of time and investment in. And we have a whole product suite to support those platforms. Of course, we can go beyond the dynamic space, but that's really been our focus. And so we have reporting tools, analytics, we have a budgeting tool. And so know that today we'll be focusing on analytics, but of course, there's more to the product suite. There are more ways Jet can help you utilize your data. We also, have customers of all shapes and sizes. People often, think, oh, analytics, a business intelligence solution. I'm just not large enough for that as an organization. But we find that companies of all shapes and sizes are fit for analytics. And a lot of times they can be even the smaller companies that maybe there's a bottleneck around their reporting that are going to get the most benefit from something that allows, much faster, easier access to their data. And so beyond that, though, know that Jet's also something that's going to be able to scale and grow with your organization as you continue to grow. Obviously, you're going to have new systems, new demands as a business, and we're there to help grow with your organization and help realize those goals. And so just real quick, I want to make sure we're clear on the difference between reporting and analytics, and then we'll kind of get into some of this back-end functionality and start talking about what it is that makes business intelligence so powerful. So most of you are probably familiar with Jet Reports. It's live real-time reporting. The difference between reporting and analytics is if you're going to report off of a database, even if you're going to use a great tool like Jet Reports, it's a one-to-one connection. You really need to understand where that data lives. If you're trying to report across multiple tables, you need to know how to link those tables together. And so it puts some burdens on the end user. You have to really understand the data, know what you're trying to do with it, and it can help make that task easier, but that does usually limit the number of users who are going to be able to report and generate data from your different systems. And so what we're really going to get into today with analytics is how we can leverage tools like our data warehouse, a set of cubes, to provide easier access to the data. with analytics, you're going to have one version of the truth across your whole organization. That means we can connect to your ERP data, your CRM data. Maybe you have timekeeping systems, warehousing, inventory systems. We're going to be able to connect to all that, pull them into one unified data set, and then you have one version of the truth that you can share across your whole organization. And really, we're talking about report creation that takes minutes, not hours, and really lowers the barrier to entry for users to be able to report against the data. And so we'll show some examples of what this looks like, but let's make sure we understand the underlying components that go into this. So, when we're talking about database, obviously most of the time we're going to be talking about a relational database. They're made up of tables and fields. Structure's been around for over 30 years, and ultimately it's designed with the idea of inputting the data in mind, not focused on reporting. To report on the data, you really have to understand not only where the data resides, but the relationships between the tables, their dependencies. And so these relational databases, they can be incredibly useful for running a business, but they're not optimized for getting the data out. It makes the process of building reports from multiple tables or even multiple databases really time-consuming and tedious, if not impossible, for non-technical staff. And so table-based reporting it's effective, but it routinely causes performance issues as well, particularly with large data sets. So what we do here, what we start with, is we funnel that data into a data warehouse, which at a high level, it's a collection of business data from multiple sources, and those are used for optimizing your reporting, for analytics, and for helping drive decision making. So unlike a database, a data warehouse's architecture is built with the focus of getting the data out. And not just through technical expertise, we're not talking about something where you still have to create a bunch of SQL coding to actually pull this data out, but more for common users like management, executive, finance professionals, other staff. Our team at Jet, anytime we're trying to build reports, we're jumping into analytics because as a salesperson, it allows me to report in plain English, really makes it so I can actually get my hands on the data and get the insights I need, even without any kind of technical training. And so, this is really the data warehouse is the foundation for business intelligence analytics. And what we're doing is we're extracting the data from your existing data sources, specifying a set of rules to transform that data, and then we're loading that into the one central repository for you to be able to quickly access and control. So the data warehouse will store transactional level details, and it'll also serve the broader reporting and analytical needs of your organization. So you're going to have one version of the truth for building models of serving structured, simplified, and really we're going to hone in on the data tools. So you can use anything you want to report against this. You can use PowerBI, you can use Excel, you can even use SSRS. But the idea is that data is going to be optimized already. And so we'll typically see this used by companies with a lot of data diversity, a lot of analytical requirements. Some of these common data transformations that may occur within the data warehouse could be things like standard costing, currency conversions is something we see a lot, unit of measure conversions. Ultimately though, any kind of business approved calculation, those can all be built into the data model in the cubes. That could be metrics for your business, key performance indicators. And what's going to happen is you're going to now have reports that are truly displaying the expected results, and it's going to give you one version of the truth across your whole organization. And so, as we'll see in a sec, the dimensional model design of the data warehouse, it also allows you for implementation of adding in additional dimensions, building new criterias to allow you to slice and dice the data, and really be able to get into any point in time, trends over a long period of time, a lot of different ways where you can analyze the data. And so a lot of BI solutions, that data warehouse point, that's kind of where they stop. They build out the data warehouse. It's a significant improvement for reporting off of the database, but you can still take it further, and that's where cubes come into play. The idea behind cubes is that this is going to create a multi-dimensional section of data built from the tables within the data warehouse. It's going to include calculations and formulas that are often grouped around specific business functions. So you may have a cube dedicated purely to sales, one purely for purchasing, for inventory, and so on. And so we're really, at this point, we're honing in on the specific functional groups that are going to be utilizing this data and how we're going to organize that data. So in those cubes, it's a great way for non-technical users to be able to access data, report against it, and that's because of the way that they're structured. All the heavy lifting, the linking of tables, the calculations, those are already built into the backend. They're already pre-calculated. And so when you want to get answers from your data, your request goes directly to the appropriate cube, and reports that used to take maybe 5 minutes to generate are now assembled in seconds. And end users don't have to understand anymore the complex web of references, of tying multiple tables together within the database. So when organizations start to collect data in multiple databases, the size of the data sets, they grow exponentially, and running a standard query against those large data sets from a live relational database, that can cause performance issues, that can sacrifice productivity, lead to users abandoning reports. And so we find that businesses often miss valuable insights because they just don't have the manpower to work through tying all those different databases together unless they're using something like a business intelligence solution. So with these cubes, whether you're looking at yesterday's sales transactions or breaking them down over the last 5 years, it takes the same amount of time to run your analysis, and really it takes the same amount of aptitude as a user, because again, all the data is optimized for reporting. And so again, this is something where most BI tools, you'll build this from the ground up. Jet's very unique in how we deploy these. Since we're so dynamics focused, we have pre-built projects for Business Central, for Nav, for GP, that gets you about 80–90% of where you want to be with your data. That's just something that we've been able to develop over the course of deploying hundreds of these analytics solutions across the Dynamics suite. And so we start with a pre-built project that has a pre-built data warehouse and cubes for sales, purchasing, inventory, AP, AR, even manufacturing if you need it. And then any kind of customizations you want to do, building in those metrics, those key performance indicators, mapping in additional data structures, different databases. We can help simplify that process as well with a tool called the Jet Data Manager. This is something, it's a very powerful tool, allows you to automate all the SQL coding, all the ETL processes when you're mapping all this data together. So it's benchmarked as 5 times faster than traditional BI methodology. And when you combine that with the pre-built project, we're talking about a BI solution that you can deploy much more affordably, much faster, and at lower risk, because we're basing everything off of a tried and true battle-tested data model that's used by hundreds of users day to day already. And then kind of as we're talking about, you can consume that data however you want. You can do it right in Excel with Jet. You can use PowerBI or any of the other data visualization tools. But really the point is that data at that point is optimized for reporting. And so what kind of advantages do you get over a data warehouse versus a database? And I see that my spell checking skills failed me on this one. The data quality and consistency is going to be there. So a data warehouse involves converting data from numerous sources, standardizing it, subjectizing it, organizing it. We're ensuring that it's going to be sorted and tagged by constraints that give you a sense of logic, where all the data is going to be optimized for giving you the insights that you need for your business. It assures greater trust in the data being presented. It reduces organizational blind spot and provides greater opportunities for collaboration because everybody's working off of the same data set. Your data is no longer siloed. That also means with talking across different departments, you're going to be able to drive better decisions because no one's limited to a single set of data. With data warehousing, businesses can better correlate data from disparate systems, and they can work across different teams. So you can tie your supply chain to your sales processes and evaluate that in relation to your financial health. All of it can be done in one location. That also leads to higher ROI. Using data warehousing, it enables businesses to save more on their analytics and generate more revenue because as the cost of data warehousing decreases, the impact increases exponentially because using this data warehousing and BI software in conjunction to democratize your data, allows you to clean up inefficiencies, allow users to access data much faster, and they can also yield returns and insights that they may not be able to find elsewhere that can yield a return on investment sooner than before. And then finally, the last point worth mentioning, again, improved performance. Data warehouses, they're built for speed, specifically to offer organizations rapid access to data across a range of systems. And so users are going to be able to get in, quickly get what they need, and not have to spend time waiting for queries to load, getting in the weeds, tying multiple tables together, any of that kind of stuff. So a lot of value here, but I want to kind of level set on what we're talking about when we're looking at data warehousing. This isn't cubes, but let's get into the fun part. Let's take a look at this in action. So I'm going to exit out of here. We're going to jump into Excel. This is the JET ribbon at the top for those of you who are not familiar with it. With JET, whether you're using reports or analytics, you're going to have a tool that bolts directly into Excel. It allows you to build these reports right in Excel, no coding knowledge required, and you can tie in any kind of Excel-based functionality you want with these. So you want to add charts and graphs, conditional formatting. You're going to be able to tie that all seamlessly with these JET functions and essentially have the evergreen reports that always give you the most up-to-date information that you're looking for. And so you can see here, I'm connected to the cubes, and let's take a look at what the data looks like here. And so we're no longer looking at our traditional table and field structure you may be familiar with here. What we're going to do is we're going to look at what are called measures and dimensions. And so here are the different cubes available to me. I'm going to start by connecting to the sales cube. And when I open that up, you see here on the right now, again, we're not looking at tables and fields. All these at the top, these numerical values, these are going to be your measures. Again, anything like unit counts, cost, profit, any kind of a numerical quantity is going to be a measure. And then below that, we have dimensions, which is going to be anything that gives relevance and meaning to those numbers. So it could be your customers, could be your global dimensions, different companies, locations even, so any one of those variables. And so let's say we wanted to see some long string of data. Like I want to see my sales, I want to see my cost, my profit. I want to see it broken out by my item categories, maybe even seen by salesperson, by location. And you're probably already starting to think, how many different tables do I got to pull together? How am I going to arrange all this? How much time is this going to take for me to put that all together? Maybe it's even spread out across multiple systems. But with analytics, the heavy lifting is already done in the back end. The data is optimized for the end user. So I can just go ahead and come into this and start checking some of these boxes. So we'll grab our cost, our sales, our profit. We'll go ahead and grab profit percent as well. And then I'm going to scroll down here and attach some dimensions to this. So maybe we'll grab our item categories, grab some date ranges. And of course, we're using a pivot table here, so I can drag and drop if I want to, make this broken out year over year. However, I wanted to present the data, I can go ahead if I wanted to and add slicers. Maybe we want to see this broken out by salesperson, by location. If we want to attach charts and graphs to this, we can make some simple Excel-based dashboarding really easy. And you notice that it's instantaneous because everything's pre-calculated, and I didn't have to know anything about that underlying data structure to be able to report against it. So I can now slice and dice the data instantaneously, get the insights I need to. In this case, for the inventory item categories, we have rollouts, so we can dive into the individual products, see what makes up those. If I want to drill into any of this, I can just double click and I'm into my drill down. And so again, very fast, very easy to use for the end user. And so that's just kind of one example. You can see that really opens the door to a lot of users to not require technical expertise and to be able to report in plain English with this. And so let's look at another example. We have a bunch of cubes here ready to go out of the box for Dynamics, and I wanted to showcase a few more of those. So here's another example. So this is one of our pre-built reports. We have a library of over 100 pre-built reports downloadable from our website. They're great for helping you get up and running. But let's just see how quick it takes to recreate some of this. So we can see here we have accounts payable aging, broken out by currency, broken out into our aging buckets. So it's a great tool. It's great to be able to just download this and maybe make a couple tweaks to line things up with your chart of accounts and have it ready to go. But what if we wanted to build that from scratch? I can just go ahead, we'll open up a new workbook. I'm going to use a pivot table again. Worth knowing, you can use these jet functions as well. So if you want to, say, dive into the browser tool, which typically would give you a view of all the tables and all the fields associated with those in your database, you can use those off the cubes as well. Select your cube, pull which measures and dimensions you want to, and just get a real easy way to visualize this data and then drag and drop it into the report. I'm going to stick with a pivot table, but I did want to point out that you're going to have those jet functions available to you as well with analytics. But this time we're back into the cubes, and this time we're focused on payables, so that's the cube I'm going to jump to. And you see, once again, we still have our measures and dimensions. They're a little different, but you can see here, again, the same kind of structure with the data. And so if we want to start building some of this out, I know I'm going to want to grab, let's see. Let's go ahead and get our currency amounts. Let's make sure we grab our aging buckets. I want to have those laid out across columns, so I'm going to pull that up to there. And then you see here we have some different vendor groupings, and I want to break this out by vendor posting group. So I'm going to select that one as well. Now if I expand this out, you see here we have our different accounts, we have our aging buckets, and then maybe the last thing we want to do is apply some slicers to this. Like maybe we want to break this out across companies. Maybe we also want to be able to break this out across the different currencies. Maybe we're reporting across a range of different currencies. We want to make sure we can break those out. And so that took a few seconds, and I have the same dashboard that was already built and ready to go. But again, it highlights how quick and easy it is to utilize this tool for the end user. You don't have to rely on understanding where the data lives, what tables this is in, how those tables link together, any of those details. It can also be really effective for ad hoc reporting. Like let's say it's budget season. Maybe you're using a budgeting tool like Jet Budgets to help streamline your workflow, make collaboration easier. But even if you're not, you can use this tool to help provide some insights to users so they can make more informed budget decisions. Like maybe you just want to do a quick ad hoc, I'm trying to plug in my numbers, my budget forecast for personnel, and I want to see how I've done historically. Maybe I can better inform my decision when I submit my numbers. So this time we'll connect to the finance cube, and maybe I just want to do something real simple here. Like I want to pull in my balance detail, and I want to be able to compare that to my budget. And then we'll also go ahead and grab the budget variance. And I'm going to scroll down here, and I'm actually going to tie this to my GL chart of accounts. So if I check that box, it's just going to pull in all of these, but I want to filter this a little bit. So we'll go ahead and open this up. You can see our different GL levels. I'm going to go down to our operating expenses, and I'm just going to pull in the personnel expenses. And so if I expand that out, we have our different personnel accounts broken out. We have our different GL codes laid out there. And then maybe the last thing we want to do here is just apply a quick slicer so we can break this out year over year. And so now as the end user, I can see, historically, not just what these numbers have done, but I can see how consistently I'm either on or off the mark. Maybe I can use this to better inform my budget decision. Maybe I'll find, hey, it looks like I've been consistently over budgeting for this. I'm going to scale it back a little bit. I'm going to take a second look at the model that I've been doing and see if we can hit the mark a little closer. I mean, you can probably think of all kinds of different utilizations for this tool, but again, the ease of use just makes it so even simple ad hoc reporting to this can provide a lot of value to your organization, because people really never have to be left knowing, or not knowing what information they're looking for. And I guess one thing to kind of note around this, we're talking a lot about, free access of data and being able to connect all this stuff. I should point out that the security can get even more granular than off of a database with a data warehouse. So you can create role-based security, row-level securities, where you can have users restricted or allowed access to even specific fields. So you can assure that not only are people able to access the data they need, but they're also not going to be able to get into the data they shouldn't. And so if you look at, that was a couple looks at how you can use analytics directly within Excel, but of course, the big conversation nowadays is around data visualization, using tools like maybe PowerBI, Tableau, those other data visualization tools. And Jet Analytics also comes with its own data visualization tool, but it's not quite as pretty as Power BI. Power BI is a really powerful tool with some really great data visualization options. So let's take a look at how we can use that in conjunction with Jet Analytics. And so to start with, I don't know if you've had a chance to see what it looks like to build a Power BI dashboard directly off the database, but let's take a quick look at that because it's worth contrasting with how simplified it's going to be by going directly off of the cubes. And so I'm going to just select Get Data. I'm going to go ahead and connect to SQL Server here. And I'm going to, for this example, I'm going to go take a look at a nav database. So we'll go ahead and connect in. Okay, and so you see here, I have a whole range of different databases, but if I wanted to connect to, let's see if we can find Dynamics Nav. Let's see, I'll use the Jet Corp Nav. So if I go ahead and open this up, you see here, we still have all of our different tables laid out here, and we're going to have to go through and pick out the tables we want. If we're pulling in multiple tables, we're going to have to assign the common keys to those to link the data together. And so there's actually a lot of legwork you need to do to get this data ready to be used within Power BI. It's not something where you can just plug it in and report against it like you would a normal reporting tool. It's something that really requires some setup to be able to utilize, and really requires some expertise and understanding the data structure as well, because as you see, Power BI isn't doing anything to help you organize this data to utilize it. That still falls on the end user. But if we want to connect this to the cubes, that'll change the conversation completely. So I'll connect to Analysis Services here, and we're going to go and build out a dashboard off of one of the cubes. So we'll connect to the nav cubes, and you see here, now when we look at these cubes, we can see at a glance the measures and dimensions being pulled into this. And it's worth noting, across these 6 cubes, that includes almost every table and field of nav pulled into this. So we're taking those hundreds of tables and fields, and we're simplifying it to these handful of lists of different measures and dimensions that are all designed around a particular functional group. And so if I go ahead and connect to the sales cube, you'll see on the right here, we're back to looking at our measures and dimensions. So I'll just stretch this out a little bit, and we can start building out a dashboard pretty easy here. So it's pretty much pick a visual. In this case, maybe we'll do a pie chart. And let's start breaking this out. Like maybe we want to see, we'll see our sales amount, and let's see that broken out by our different item categories. So I'll go ahead back into here and we'll grab our different item categories. Pull that down, we'll make that a little larger. Okay, want to add another visual. Let's go ahead and we'll do a bar chart for this one. So I'll go ahead and select my visual. Actually, let's go with this one. We'll grab our visual, pull it down to here. Maybe this time we want to break out sales over time, so we'll grab sales by our posting date. So I'll go down to here, grab the dimension, and we can just see that real neatly year over year, or maybe we actually want to look at it quarterly. We could do that as well, find out where our most profitable times are. Can we cluster this? Yep, there we go. So we can break out year over year and by quarter. Let's go ahead and add one more. We'll use a donut for this one. And maybe in this case, we just want to see who our most successful salespeople are. So we'll go ahead and grab the salesperson on the document. And once again, we'll tie that to our sales. And so those are some good ones, but of course, Power BI has some pretty impressive visualizations. Like if I wanted to, let's go ahead and, well, that's going to change that one. Let's go ahead and start a new one there. We use this map function for that. And in this case, let's find out where our most profitable customers are located. So I'll sort this by profit. We'll open up our sell to customer, and we'll go with sell to customer city. And then now we can start using one of the neater pieces of Power BI technology where we can see, a quick visual representation with where our customers are, which ones are the most profitable. We can zoom in and see that Atlanta is one of our most profitable locations across the country. And so again, Power BI, it's using analytics to really simplify the process. Power BI is business intelligence front end. You still want to have a powerful data model behind it to be able to really maximize the capabilities of it and optimize it for your users. Otherwise, you're going to require someone who has some hard coding knowledge, some real programming knowledge. It's not something that your typical end user is going to be able to do. And so hopefully you found that all informative. Part of why we're talking about analytics today is that at Jet, we're running a pretty major promotion around users who maybe are on reporting, maybe you haven't touched the Jet suite yet. Either way, we're going to provide some incentives around converting to analytics. Now, the current promotion, usually we set an end date on, it's end of the month, you need to make a purchase. But this one, we know that this is a decision that has some nuance to it. You're going to want to talk with our team. We're going to want to talk about your data, what you want to do with it, what kind of insights you aren't currently getting, what you'd be looking to get from it. And we're going to help show you how we're going to be able to transform your data specifically to be able to better utilize it and take advantage of this analytics project. So the call to action is real simple here. Book a demo with us, work with the folks at Innovia to set it up, book a demo with us before the end of the month, and then you'll have a full other 30 days beyond that to be able to decide if you want to move forward with analytics. And if you do, you're going to save either a full year of maintenance, or if you're on a subscription model, you're going to get 2 months off plus free setup as far as installation goes. And so this is a great opportunity to be able to take a look at this, really see what an analytics solution, what a business intelligence solution can do for your business, and get some savings and get this moving so you have this installed, implemented, and ready to go for 2020. And so that's what I want to leave you with. Thanks for your time today. I'm more than happy to answer questions if there's any for the team. And again, thanks for your time.
All right. Well, thank you, Aaron. And it does not appear that there are any questions right now. Like you said, if anybody does have any, please feel free to type those into the questions box and we can get those answered for you. All right, well, thank you, Aaron, for presenting today, and to everyone on today's call, or if you are watching on demand, we thank you for joining us. And we do have a few more webinars coming soon. Actually, this afternoon, we have Avalara presenting on how you can get free tax services in 24 states with streamlined sales tax. And then tomorrow, September 18th, we have True Commerce, and they're going to be presenting on True Commerce external e-commerce platform, and they're going to be doing an overview and demo. So if you're interested in any of our webinars, please feel free to register for those events. And our website for our upcoming events is innovia.com/events. And I also want to mention our podcast is going on. If you haven't heard of our new podcast, it's called the Innovia Conversation. And you can find out about all the different podcast platforms to listen to on our podcast page, and that's innovia.com/podcast. So check out the selection and subscribe so you get notified on all the new episodes. And Innovia is proud to be a platinum sponsor of BCUG NAVUG Summit in Orlando, Florida this year. And that will be October 13th through the 18th. And if you haven't already registered, or if you just want more information about Summit, you can check out our conference page on our website, and that's innovia.com/conferences. And we just want to thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon on another Innovia webinar. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you, Erin.